The Sunday school lessons for December 29th, 2024 are David's Son and a Cry for Help. Luke chapter 18, verses 35 through 43. Welcome, viewers and subscribers, to my channel, The Backstory and More. I am Audrey. If you are interested in knowing what happens before each Sunday school lesson, you are at the right place because I will share the backstory, read the lesson text, and offer a brief lesson summary. The backstory. Let's begin. Luke was a physician, a companion of Paul, and a Gentile who was the only Gentile writer or author of a book in the Bible. Luke chapter 18 covers a wide range of topics, including the need for persistent prayer, Luke chapter 18, verses 1 through 8, the value of humility and accepting God's mercy, Luke chapter 18, verses 9 through 14, and a childlike faith's importance to entering God's kingdom, Luke chapter 18, verses 15 through 17. The topics continue with the challenge of sacrificing wealth for spiritual gain, Luke chapter 18, verses 18 through 30, and an illustration of faith's power and persistence when seeking healing and salvation in an encounter with a blind beggar, Luke chapter 18, verses 35 through 43. The backstory continues. Just before today's text begins, Jesus had warned his disciples again that he, the Son of Man, was going to die and rise again on the third day. Luke chapter 18, verses 31 through 34. As we read the numerous events and teachings between Luke chapter 9, verse 51 and Luke 18:35, we get the impression that Jesus was in no hurry. Also in no hurry, but by necessity rather than choice, were the physically infirm of the era, especially those who were blind. Blindness was a familiar condition in the ancient world, with the Bible itself using some form of the word blind dozens of times. From our current scientific vantage point, there was no reliable cure for blindness in Jesus' day and little understanding of its varied causes. But the ancient mind was not cautious about thinking of one cause of blindness in particular. Many believed it to be a curse from God for some type of sinful behavior. The sins of the parents were thought to affect their children, causing them to be born blind. John chapter 9, verses 1 through 2. But regardless of the cause, blindness was economically and socially debilitating. Blind men could not serve as priests, Leviticus 21, verses 16 through 18, and had little opportunity for employment. They were reduced to begging or depending on family support to survive. Parallels to today's text of Luke chapter 18, verses 35 through 43, or Matthew chapter 20, verses 29 through 34, and Mark chapter 10, verses 46 through 52. An interesting fact regarding these parallels is that although Mark's gospel as a whole is the shortest of the three, Mark's version of the event is the longest of the three. The backstory ends here, and our lesson text begins with the next slide. Verses 35 through 37. As Jesus approached Jericho, a blind man was sitting by the roadside begging. When he heard the crowd going by, he asked what was happening. They told him, Jesus of Nazareth is passing by. Verses 38 through 39. He called out, Jesus, Son of David, Have mercy on me." Those who led the way rebuked him and told him to be quiet. But he shouted all the more, "Son of David, have mercy on me." Verses 40 through 41. Jesus stopped and ordered the man to be brought to him. When he came near, Jesus asked him, "What do you want me to do for you?" "Lord, I want to see," he replied. Verses 42 through 43. Jesus said to him, "Receive your sight. Your faith has healed you." Immediately, he received his sight and followed Jesus, praising God. When all the people saw it, they also praised God. A very brief summary. Ironically, it took a blind man to see what the apostles could not. The journey to Jerusalem took Jesus and his disciples on the road through Jericho. There they were approached by a blind man who knew Jesus only by reputation, but he referred to Jesus as Son of David, a clear messianic title. He was convinced that Jesus could do what Isaiah said the Messiah would do: open the eyes of the blind. Isaiah chapter 35, verse 5. After being healed, he was quick to follow Jesus. Don't stop asking. Today's text illustrates the point on persistence that Jesus made at the beginning of Luke chapter 18. The blind man knew that Jesus was his only hope to receive healing. The man did not heed the crowd's admonishment to be silent. Quite the opposite. He did not give up. Like the persistent widow of Luke chapter 18, verses 1 through 8, he kept asking the Lord for help. The formula, faith plus persistence, was and is powerful even today. Jesus' encouragement was for faithful persistence remains as sure as it was when he spoke 2,000 years ago. Prayer is only one way by which we can demonstrate persistent faith. There are others. Can you name some? Thank you so very much for listening. And remember, every Sunday at 1 o'clock Central Standard Time, I release a new video for the upcoming Sunday School lesson. Thank you so much for all that you do to help this channel grow one viewer and one subscriber at a time.